Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be number 2 would be Mother, number 3 would be American Assassin, number 4 would be Home Again, and number 5 would be The Hitman's Bodyguard. And I only got 3 out of 5 of my predictions right, which I kind of already expected. Last weekend's predictions were a little bit, kind of rough. I think I gave Mother a little too much hope. So let's just go over what actually happened at the top 5 and the top 10 as a whole. Number 1 was once again It. I was wondering how much of a drop it was going to have in its second weekend because last weekend it actually, when I did the video, it was at like 117 and the studio actually bumped it up to $123 million. So that's actually pretty good. It did much better than what was originally being reported. So I was wondering how big the drop was going to be, if it was going to be a big drop or if it was going to be a smaller drop. This movie actually had a nice, almost about 50% drop, making $60 million this weekend, and that is very good that it was able to hold on that well. I mean, I think everyone already knew that it was going to stay number 1 with that huge opening, but the fact that it didn't really drop a whole lot, but it dropped just enough to be half and half, that's actually really good for this movie. And that adds to a domestic total of $218 million. And on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $371 million. This movie is shaping up to be one of the highest grossing movies of the year. A horror movie remake. And another adaptation of the Stephen King book. A Stephen King movie actually doing well, unlike, The Dark Tower, which is pretty impressive. I'm wondering if tomorrow when the official numbers come in, if they're going to bump up this estimation as well. Usually it doesn't happen as much as as huge as last weekend, where it went from 117 to 123. So maybe it'll bump up to maybe 61 million, or maybe stick around here. I'd be surprised if it bumped up a lot like it did last weekend though. Number 2 is American Assassin. It was able to sneak up in there, which is expected. It is based off a popular book series, so not very surprising. It did only make around $14 million this weekend though, and that's only on a budget of $33 million. It might have a chance worldwide. It's sitting at $21 million currently, which isn't that big at first, but maybe in the next coming weeks it'll be able to add to that, and we might get it to $66 million, which is the doubling point of the original budget. I'm not sure if this is going to be immediate signs to make sequels, because this is a part of a series of books, like spy thriller books or whatever, so I think that was definitely the original intention, but after this, I'm not sure if they're going to do that. Number 3 is Mother, making $7 million this weekend at the domestic box office. Now, worldwide, it is sitting at $13 million, and according to its budget, which is only $30 million, it needs to get to around $60 million in order to be considered a success. Now, could it happen worldwide? There's a slim chance, I'm thinking. American Assassin had opened with 20 million worldwide, maybe it could, but with this kind of opening worldwide, I'm just not so sure. I'm not sure if Mother's going to have enough legs or enough staying power to be able to double its budget. I think it's safe to assume that this is a flop, especially with how audiences have been reacting to this movie. Not just the Rotten Tomatoes score, but the cinema score is at an F right now, so I'm thinking that not too many people are going to be recommending other people see it. I think it's safe to say that this movie is a bomb. Now, whether you love this movie or hate this movie, I honestly am shocked that it actually did get an F on cinema score, and that it's actually probably more than likely affecting who goes to see this movie. And I'm just going to say it one more time, like I did in my original review. If you are a fan of art house kind of movies, this is your thing. But if you're like me, who's not a huge fan of art house movies, just a select few of them, then this movie's probably not going to be for you. I've heard some people say the opposite of that, but it just depends on what you like, really. Number 4 is Home Again. It made $5 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $17 million. Now, last weekend it didn't have that big of an opening, but this weekend it was able to get past its $12 million budget point. So it only needs to get to $24 million domestically or worldwide, whichever one comes first, in order to get double the budget and become a success. And I'm thinking since it only needs $7 more million to double the $12 million budget, then it's going to happen, which is fine. I kind of already knew that it was going to be okay last weekend. Sure, the number seemed low for the kind of movie that it was, especially since we're in the middle of a drought. That could have been competition from It, though, like I said. So it's really not that big of a shock, just that it's really slowly getting up there. Number 5 is the Hitman's Bodyguard, slowly starting to descend now that more movies are coming out. It made $3 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $70 million, $10 million more than the doubling point. Very good for this film, though it was a lot of fun. I am glad to see it start to descend because now I can talk about newer things with movies instead of this movie, which was fine and it was a success and there's really not too much to add. I don't think there's sequel plans for it, considering it wasn't a huge hit, just moderate. So let's move on to number 6, which is Annabelle Creation, which made $2.6 million, adding to a domestic total of $99 million. And on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $291 million. It only needs $1 million more to get to $100 million domestically, but also $9 million more to get to $300 million worldwide. I'm thinking it will definitely be able to do that, which is very good, since this is definitely much better than the other Annabelle film, which I think I already talked about this, but I'll say it again. This movie has grossed more than that original prequel, which is a good sign, and this movie has had more staying power as well. Number 7 is Wind River, making $2.5 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $29 million. Last weekend it doubled its budget, and now it's almost to tripling it. It needs $4 million more to get to $33 million, which would be the tripling point, and that is very good for this movie. I would definitely like to see it happen before it leaves the top 10. I unfortunately have not been able to see it yet, though, which is kind of saddening, but, getting back in the whole swing of things with school, you're going to have to make certain sacrifices or blah, blah, blah. So eventually I will have to see this movie, though, because, as I said before, big fan of the writer who is also writing and directing this movie. Number 8 is Leap, or known in other places, Ballerina, made $2.1 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $18 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $102 million. It was able to get past $100 million. Sweet for this movie that not too many people really know exist, honestly. So let's just move on to number 9, which is finally no longer at the number 7 spot. Spider-Man Homecoming, after like 5 weeks or so of sitting at number 7, finally dropped 2 spaces at number 9, making $1.8 million on the domestic total $330 million, and on the worldwide chart it is sitting at $861 million. Now I don't know if I made it seem like it was a bad thing that it was sitting at number 7 for so long. It's really just more amazement from my point of view at how it had that much staying power. And I'm looking at the Spider-Man kind of rankings, like box office wise, and domestically it has not been able to surpass any of the original Sam Raimi films, which is kind of it's getting close to it, but it's about to leave the top 10, and I unfortunately will not be able to report on it. Worldwide, however, it is the second highest grossing Spider-Man film, right behind Spider-Man 3's $890 million, which is pretty fantastic if you ask me. I think it's a better movie than Spider-Man 3, but whatever, it's making money. Now number 10, which is Dunkirk, the last time Nolan's going to be in this top 10. It made $1.3 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $185 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $508 million. Perfect for this movie to be able to cross the 500 million margin worldwide before it left the top 10, which is really good since this movie was a fantastic war film. Now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. I'm going to say number 1 is the Lego Ninjago movie. Then number 2 might be a little close, but I think will be Kingsman: The Golden Circle. I think after the first movie did so well, more people will be going out to see it. Then number 3 I think will be It. Number 4, American Assassin. And number 5, Mother. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave it in the comments below, and if you got your predictions right for this week, you're going to get a shout out right now. Unless you didn't get it right, then I'm sorry. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.